Hello everyone. Today we're going to be working with factoring four-term polynomials. They're going to be a very specific type of polynomial of a specific order. So that order is going to be the following. So the polynomials are going to look like this. ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. So if it has that order, where there's a power of 3, power of 2, a regular x, and then just a single number at the end, we can use this method to factor. Remember, factoring has to do with the opposite of multiplication. So we're going to be placing our four terms in our box. So remember this box for multiplication? So we're going to be going backwards. So instead of us putting our two binomials that we're multiplying on the outside, since this is technically our answer, we're going to go ahead and put it on the inside. So the four terms go inside. That's the first step. Then we're going to factor out the GCF for each one. And again, we are working backwards from multiplication. So again, we're going to be finding that GCF 4 times. And then our answer will be the two binomials we get on the outside of the box. And again, our final answer should look like this, two binomials being multiplied. And they will be on the outside. So before we would put what we were going to multiply on the outside, our answer will show up on the inside. We write it out. Now we're going backwards. So let's go ahead and start with number 1. We're going to have 6x cubed, negative 9x squared, 4x, and minus 6. Now we're going to go ahead and ask ourselves, what is the GCF of the top two terms? So when I'm talking about the top two terms, I mean these two. What is the GCF of these two? So they're both multiples of 3. So I'm going to start my GCF as having a 3. And they also both have a GCF of the variable x. So one of them has 3 x's, and one of them has 2 x's. So if I write it out, they have 2 in common. So we have 3x squared as our GCF. Now we're going to figure out the one on the top. So for this one on the top here, I'm going to look at this piece right here. So remember, the left times the right should give us this inside 6x cubed. So 3 times what gives me 6? The answer would be 2. And already on the left side, I have x squared. I need one more x to get x cubed. So I've got 2 of my pieces taken care of. Now I'm going to take care of the next one, which is the negative 9x squared. So remember, the left times the top here is what gives me that negative 9x squared. So 3 times what gives me negative 9? That's going to be negative 3. And I already have the x squared on the left, so I don't have to worry about having another x. Now I'm going to repeat the process for the bottom piece on the left side, right here. So 4x. The top already has 2x. So 2 times what gives me 4? And it's 2 times 2. And the top already has an x, so I don't need another x for the left term. Now for the last term, I should double check that this one works for what I already have written out. So the top has negative 3, the left has 2. 2 times negative 3 checks off for the 6. So I'm good to go. So again, I'm just working completely backwards at this point. Now I'm going to go ahead and write out my answer, which is the important part, which is my answer should look like this. So let's go ahead and write it out. So it's the 2 terms that are outside. So what multiplies to give me the inside, which is my 4-term polynomial? It was 3x squared plus 2 and 2x minus 3. This is my final answer. Let's go ahead and repeat the process for number 2. So again, we start by taking our 4 terms and putting them inside the box. I want to figure out what multiplies to give me this answer. So let's go ahead and figure out the first one. So we have, what do these two have in common? So they have x's in common. They have at most 2 in common. So I'm going to put x squared on the outside. So let's look at our first box. So this one's x cubed. We have x squared on the left. We need one more x on the top to get x cubed. Let's look at the next box. We have x squared. So we already have x squared on the left. we don't need anything else, so we just put a 1, because 1 multiplies anything and does not change it. Let's go to the next one on the bottom. We have x here. We have an x on the top. We just need a 1 on the left, and we get 1x, which is just x. And for the last box, we checked. Top times left, 1 times 1 is 1. So this one checks off. So we're good to go. So we write out our final answer. X squared plus 1 and x plus 1. And it doesn't matter if they're in different orders. So if you have them backwards, it's okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next problem. All right, so for the next one, just for future reference, they're not going to have the box drawn out for you. You need to know that I need to draw this box to do this problem. So let's go ahead and start with that. So I'm going to draw the 2 by 2 box. I'm going to fill it out with m cubed, 2m squared, negative m, and negative 2. And start asking myself, what is my GCF? The top two have m squared in common. So I need one more m at the top to complete this first box to get m cubed. For the second box, I have m squared on the left, and I already have m squared in here. So I need the 2 at the top. 2 times m squared is 2m squared. For the bottom one here, I already have the m at the top, but I want a negative m, so I need a negative, but I also need to put the number 1. And the very last box, I should check it. 2 at the top times negative 1 on the left gives me negative 2. That checks off. So I'm going to write out my answer, m squared minus 1 and m plus 2. Let's move on to the next one. Again, I need to draw my own box. It's not going to be drawn for me. So here we go. We're going to fill it out. A cubed, 2a squared, 12a, and 3. Starting with the first one, what is the GCF between these two to go on the left? So they're both multiples of 2, and they both have a's, and the most we can factor out is a squared. So we have 2a squared. Now for the first box to complete the top, 2 times what is 8? 2 times 4. And we need one more a to make a cubed. Next box here, 2a squared. On the inside, we already have 2a squared on the left, so we have everything we need. We just put a 1 on the top. This next one, 12a. The top, we have 4a, so we have the a. We just need to get the number 12. 4 times what is 12? We need a 3. And then check the final box for this 3 here. 1 times 3, top and left. Checks off to 3. We're good to go. So we get 2a squared plus 3, and 4a plus 1. All right, go ahead and try 5 and 6. Pause the video and come back to check your answer. All right, now that you've tried it out, you should have gotten the following answers. So here we go real quick. You should have gotten x squared plus 2 and x minus 1. Make any corrections if needed. And for the second one, you should have gotten 2x squared and 2 here, negative 3, and negative 3 there as well. So 2x squared minus 3, and I forgot an x here, whoops, 2x minus 3. So one thing I want you guys to notice is you'll always have an x squared here on the left, and you'll always have an x on the top. That's the way these are going to always work because of the order of the original polynomials with the x to the power of 30. So just so you know, one more time, the one on the left will always give you x squared because the first two will always have 2 x's in common. So that might be something that will help you out just to like start them off. Always x squared on the left, x on the top, or whatever variable squared on the left and x on the top. So go ahead and do your IX out and practice, and good luck.